Namaskar. Today, let us learn about the Constitution. What is the importance of a Constitution and what does a Constitution do to us? Let us see quickly. Let me share my screen. So, here we are going to discuss about what is a Constitution. What is a Constitution is a fundamental question, which the grade 8 we all learn that Constitution is a rule book which everybody has to agree. So, then what is that we are learning extra in grade 9? In grade 8, we learned the basic definition of constitution. But in grade 9, we are looking at explicitly in detail of the constitution. The constitution of a country gives us a set guidelines, a set dictates which every individual, every citizen of the country has to follow. So constitution can be said as a written rules that are accepted by all the people living together in a country. Constitution is supreme law. We all need to remember that. Constitution is a supreme law that determines the relationship among people living in the territory and the relationship between the people and the government. So the Constitution is a supreme law which is in force in the land. Every citizen has to follow the law. And it also gives us details about how the relationship between people and the government should exist, that is given in the constitution. Apart from this, what all does a constitution do? The constitution does many things. To list out them, we have made four. One is it generates a degree of trust and coordination that is necessary for different kinds of people to live together. It gives us a degree of trust and confidence, coordination. If you remember, in the previous lecture, we got a doubt whether the blacks will remain on their word because the whites have given a lot of pain to the blacks in South Africa. So once the black government forms the government or the black majority comes to power, what will happen to the whites? The whites were feared about that. So it gives a trust, confidence that there is somebody to take care of you. That is constitution. So that is the first thing. It generates a degree of trust and coordination that is necessary for different kinds of people to live together. Let us say blacks and whites, let us say Hindus and Muslims, let us say different language people, different cultural people, but it gives you a trust and coordination to live happily together, though you belong to different categories. That is the first thing what the constitution does. The second thing, it specifies how the government would be constituted, who will have power to take decisions. So first thing, how the government has to be constituted, which type of government we would like to have. Is it like USA, the presidential model, or is it like India, the parliamentary model? How the system of election should happen, how it has to have the houses. Will the houses decide or will the people decide the leader directly? We have direct democracy or indirect democracy. Again, in indirect democracy, do we have presidential form or the parliamentary form? All these details have to be discussed, are discussed already and given in the constitution for us by the makers of the Indian constitution. They discussed in detail and they gave the best of it. So that is given there. How to form a government, who will take the decisions, how the decisions will be taken, what is the process to be followed to take a decision. This is the second aspect what the constitution deals with. Coming to the third point or the third aspect, it lays down the limitations on the powers of the government and tells us what the rights of the citizens are. The constitution clearly withholds the government powers. The government has only certain powers to do. Even if it gets the full majority, it cannot change the basic structure of the constitution. The fundamental rights cannot be repealed off. They have to make sure that the fundamental rights are applicable to everybody. No discrimination. Though you like it or you don't like it, the Constitution is supreme, not the government. Government has its own limitations which it has to do and follow. That is the third aspect what the Constitution deals with. And coming to the fourth aspect, it expresses the aspirations of the people about creating a good society, how a society should be, how the people should be. All these details are given in the Constitution. So, what is a Constitution? What are the aspects the Constitution deals with? We covered in this video lecture. First, Constitution is a written set of rules accepted by all people living together in a country, applicable to all the citizens of the country who are there. It also gives us details about people and government. The Constitution does many things. In that, the first one, it generates a degree of trust and coordination among different kinds of people to live together. Secondly, it specifies how the government will be constituted and how and who will take the power of decision making. Third, we have the limitations on the powers of the government. And lastly, we discussed about the aspirations of the people of creating a good society are discussed in the Indian Constitution, or for that matter, in any constitution. From when did we write Constitution? From when did we actually started writing the Constitution? Did you actually get it out? From when did we start writing the Constitution? All the countries that have constitutions are not necessarily democratic, but all the countries that are democratic will have constitution. The point might be a little bit tricky. Please try to understand it. All the countries that have constitutions are not necessarily democratic. All the countries, let us say China, South Korea, North Korea, all the countries where there are non-democratic countries like Saudi Arabia, they might have a constitution, but they are not democratic. On the contrary to this, all the countries that are democratic will definitely have a constitution. All the countries you say they are democratic, they will definitely have a written constitution. That is the meaning of the first point, what we are discussing today. And the second point is, after the War of Independence against Great Britain, where the Americans, they started to give themselves a constitution which is written constitutions. And then the revolution, the French Revolution, which approved the democratic constitution after the revolution, started to be known as the first written constitution. And from since then, it has become a practice in all the democracies to have a written constitution. So from then we started writing a constitution. So in today's video, we discussed about what is a written constitution, what does a constitution do, and from when did we start writing a constitution in written formats. So that's all we have in today's video's lecture. Hope you all liked it. Please consider subscription and support us. If you have any doubts, kindly reach back to us so that we can get back to you. And if there are any mistakes in our pronunciation, please pardon me. Thank you.